Well, I'd like to thank Hal for that lovely introduction, and I'd like to thank all of the people of KANEKO for allowing me to come here and talk to all of you about something that is one of my favorite topics, and that is your creative brain. So creativity is not just for artists, writers, musicians, and scientists. Why is it so important that we're creative? Well, the first reason is that creativity is our survival mechanism as a species. If you think back to our ancestors, they weren't strong enough to fight off predators. They weren't fast enough to outrun them. Basically, all we had going for us was our ingenuity. But what I do know is that all of us have something from the past, either a work of art, a piece of music, a poem that has inspired us, maybe kept us going when we were feeling down. And you never know what little act, what little creative thing you're going to do, whether it's writing an email to somebody, writing your own poetry, perhaps a recipe that you develop, that someday, many generations from now, is going to move someone that you don't even know. And finally, creative activity helps us to find meaning, to make meaning out of the events of our world. So in all of these ways, our own creativity is important in our lives. For instance, just in the past 7 or 8 years, all of the major business schools, all of the elite business schools in this country have added creativity courses to their curricula. Why is it all of a sudden it's getting so much attention? Well, I suggest to you that one of the reasons is in this rapid change climate of the 21st century, we really need our creativity. We need our creativity to be honed if we're going to survive and thrive. The only way you're going to be able to keep up is to hone your own creative skills that will allow you not to fall behind, but also to help shape the world of the future. So here we are talking about creativity. What exactly is creativity? What do we mean by this? The official definition is that in order to be considered creative, an idea or a product has to have 2 factors. The first is it has to be original or novel. And the second is that it has to be useful or adaptive in some way. Where do creative ideas come from? Well, as it turns out, there are 2 cognitive pathways to creativity. Here's my 2 roads diverging in the yellow wood, and we will call one of them the deliberate pathway, and the other one the spontaneous pathway. So basically what we have are different brain sets for solving problems, either spontaneously or deliberately. And what we see with the deliberate brain set is you're using a lot of prefrontal cortex control. One of the big jobs of the prefrontal cortex is to inhibit ideas and tendencies that are coming up from the unconscious parts of the brain. In the spontaneous pathway, what you're doing is turning down the volume on some of those judgmental and deliberate parts of the brain that are in the prefrontal cortex. So now, at this point, what we're going to do is attempt to access creative brain sets through experiential work.
You have 5 seconds. Ready? Go.
So what we'd like to do now is kind of try to incorporate some of the things that you've experienced with some of the things we've talked about.
The question that I have, and this is really regarding probably the first 2 of the exercise groups that has to do with brain activation. How many of you felt your brain activation state change during the exercise?
One of the things that I felt with the drawing, and I have no skill at drawing, but the further along we went, the freer it felt.
Because there was such a short period of time, I had to have different names, and I had to have different places and different connections, but I was basically thinking of my own life.
So one of the real important things about the different brain states is not only do you want to learn to access spontaneous brain states, which are the absorb, the envision, and the connect, but you also want to be able to switch flexibly among those brain states and deliberate brain states such as reason and evaluate. And it's been a real pleasure to talk to you tonight. Thank you.
Thank you all very much, and thank you, Shelley, Carson.
Thank you.